What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to work on Jaime's EG hatch. After finishing up Justin's EF hatch and installing that Catback exhaust and the UEL header, we went ahead and collaborated with Flashark again, and we reached out to them for a couple parts for Jaime's hatch. We're going to put on this Catback exhaust for the 92 to 95 Civic hatchback. And this is one of their header options that they have for B series. We're going to throw that on as well. And of course, we just added some LEDs to his headlights. Those are kind of dull and probably just needs something a little better. We had them throw that in there. He currently already has a similar header, 42 to 1. It's just ragged and rough. It had a lot of that thermal heat, I guess a heat blanket over it, and it's kind of stained it, and it just looks ugly now. We wanted to upgrade it with something different, and since we had the opportunity to work with Flashark again, we wanted to just go ahead and try these parts out on there. His car also, like, we were looking at it, it looks like I think the center portion is upside down. Something's upside down because it stinks. Like when you drive it, it gets really smelly in here inside the cabin. So we want to see if we can get everything buttoned up, new gaskets, better test pipe, and just see if we can get it a little bit better set up where it's not so smelly as well, because it's terrible when you're driving it for a decent amount of time. So let's get this lifted and take a look at what's going on underneath and swiftly get it installed. Catback exhausts like this are generally pretty easy. The only thing I'm curious about is the test pipe length, and with the header length, the header might be longer. I do have a couple of test pipe options that I could maybe just cut. I think I have a new telescopic test pipe I may be able to install on there as well. But let's get it jacked up and see what's going on underneath here. So getting underneath here, I was correct. This portion right here is upside down. You're supposed to have the 1 point at the top and the 2 on the bottom. That way it's flat, it creates better ground clearance. Test pipe needs to be rotated to fit. It is a telescopic one that they welded. And then that flange actually spins, so you can rotate it at any angle. I'm not sure how this piece was able to line up. I guess if you just flip it around, the flange is just like flat on both sides, so I guess it can go either way, but I don't know if that's where it's leaking or somewhere up there. We're just gonna see if we can get it fixed, and we're gonna replace everything regardless and see what we can do with all this. I'm just gonna start knocking everything out, get the header and all these nuts and bolts removed, and we'll take a look at it when it's off the car. Another thing we're gonna change out is this hardware. Jaime is not necessarily a fan of it, so we're just gonna go with some longer studs and some new nuts on there to just kind of clean it up and get rid of these pinkish looking hardware now. I think it's MPC hardware or like MPC rep, but we're gonna take those out. So the exhaust came off real easily. No issues with any of the nuts and bolts. This is actually a pretty cool exhaust system. It's the one made by 1320. Honestly, it actually sounds really clean with his B20V tech setup. So yeah, here's that mid piece. That's the way it was on. But see, if you leave it like this, you can flip it 180 degrees. The flange still lines up. You can obviously see this was hanging low, and now it's the correct orientation at the front, and these line up. It actually probably would have tucked in better and avoided all of this. The gasket from here into that mid pipe was actually a little loose. That might be why it's stinking. I don't know, maybe the one up front. Everything was actually, it was pretty easy to get off. The nuts and bolts weren't super tight. But we're gonna work on the header. I'm just gonna drop it with the test pipe next. And I'll worry about getting out the wideband. Actually, I'm gonna take the wideband off right now because since it's held in place, it'll be easier just using a wrench instead of a O2 sensor socket. So after getting it off, there's an obvious, I just kind of lined it up. I know it's a little bit, here, I'll do that a little bit better. You can see it's a little longer with a test pipe needs to be shortened because this seemed to bolt up. I don't know if that Catback, I don't think it was ever modified. It doesn't look like it. So that probably bolts up in the same position as a stock EG. Exhaust usually the same length. We're gonna put the muffler on and all the piping, and we'll get the header put on and we'll look at test pipe options. I have a couple here. I'm almost thinking this telescopic one with the middle piece removed might be short enough. And if I need to, and just remove a little bit more here to get it on, I think that'll be perfectly fine. I can use that one. Thanks to my boy Cedric. He's the one that gave that to me, and that's probably gonna just be used on Jaime's car now. Can't appreciate you, brother. So we'll see if that works out, and let's continue getting this put on. This hardware is really easy to put on if you just get one started. And they use, this one particularly is a 4mm hex head, and I just kind of spin them all the way in until they bottom out. I don't think there's any need to do them. Just do them hand tight. I think that's good. The Flashark header does come with its own gasket and also the tube, the little donut gasket, which goes to the end of the tube there. For installing, if you're not going to use this, go ahead and tighten up this fitting. This was a 19mm, and then also tighten up this fitting. This was a 13, and this one I believe is a 6. Yeah, it's a 6mm right here. Okay, so I had to trim this bracket. I kept trying to get it on, and it kept hitting the oil pan. Couldn't get the header lined up, but now it fits perfectly fine. We were never going to use that anyway. We don't have the proper bracket back there, and it's not going to be something we need, so I trimmed it, and let me see where we're at. So it's right here. And it kept catching the corner of the oil pan. I couldn't seem to push it back far enough, but other than that, on this B20V setup, there's plenty of clearance all around the oil pan. Let me get you a look at this side. And ground clearance, I'm sure it's hanging a little lower. This car has a traction bar. You can see the two hardware. You know, for future reference, if they redesign it, maybe move that hardware to the sides, because now you just add an extra like 3/4 of an inch, making it lower. It's possibly going to catch on something, so that would be a lot smarter to have both of those on the sides a little bit higher. Let's throw this thing on and work on that test pipe last. Another thing to do is always double check. Like this that thing is done. Replace your hangers if needed. This one also is cracking quite a bit. That one seems to be good. Two center ones seemed okay, so I'm just gonna change out the ones that we need to. So far, so good. Exhaust is bolted up. Have the two hangers back there. A little trick I like to do is when you're having trouble, use a floor jack. I had the floor jack just sitting right in the middle. I was able to hold it there while I tightened up the gasket, the nuts and bolts here on the gasket. So that way it was in the position I want it to be. Same with the middle. Now, the only thing I've encountered so far is the exhaust hangers. So, let me back up. See the difference in length? Like they are sticking too far forward. This side it's on barely. I figured maybe we could just weld on another piece of metal here to have them line up, but honestly, with it bolted up here, and if I get it finished up at the front, I think it'll be just fine, because I'm gonna have to kind of move the exhaust down a little bit so it lines up with the header. Let me see what I can do here. So I went ahead and measured it, and that portion I need is only just a little bit longer than this. Like, I'm gonna have to add on a little piece. Since this is small here, I'd have to cut and just weld the two pieces together. I think I'm just gonna retain the original one. It looks like the new donut gasket. It'll fit perfectly on the original one. That way I'm gonna bolt this up and then see how much, like, I'm gonna cut a little bit extra and then cut it here, and then see what I can do. I think I'm gonna cut it like right around here, because see how it looks bigger here? If I cut it here, I might be able to just slide this piece off where it's welded together, and then it's thinner here. It may be close where hopefully, I'm hoping I can just slide this piece onto the thinner diameter here. Let's get to measuring a little bit and then cutting and see how it turns out. All right, cool. After getting that cut, like I said, this piece now, it does slide right on there. I need to see if I have enough room. I think that's as far as it goes, but I can shorten this if I need to a little bit more. I think I might still need to, but I'm gonna test. But this looks like this is gonna be our new test pipe, and then I could just flex it up like it was here, and it'll be set to go. Be a perfect length. All right, so we've got the baby test pipe finished off, and the way I welded it, it's gonna sit just like this from front to back, and I mounted the bung on this side so that way it clears. We'll have enough clearance for everything with the wideband there. So let's get this bolted up and take a look at it. All right, everything is finished up. So this looks like it sits a little higher. Doesn't necessarily look like it's perfectly out where the hole was. Sticking a little bit to that side. The bumper's cut already. I'm not sure what we'll do there. Maybe we'll just cut it to kind of match it a little more. I'll ask Jaime, see what he says. But it fits pretty well everywhere else. Both the gaskets, well, the hangers I meant, fit perfectly fine. I used that third hanger, which is on the mid pipe, right in there. Let me get the side perspective. It actually tucks up pretty well. It does lean a little lower in the front, but I think that's the angle of the header. Doesn't seem anything excessive. I think it should be okay. You can see where I did my baby test pipe. Worked out perfectly. Let me go around to the other side. You can now see the header. New hardware looks a lot nicer than that old hardware. I think the bay in general just looks really clean with a nice shiny header. I think Jaime, that's what he wanted to do. But the test pipe, we now have the wideband sticking right out the side, and I ran it behind the subframe. It's cool too, it's like nice and snug, it's not gonna move anywhere. The clip, and it should be good. Let's give it a start. See how it sounds. First, there is a silencer in here. Silencers generally sound like doo-doo. We're gonna see how this exhaust sounds. It has a lot more power than Justin's car does, this car does. This exhaust might be a lot louder. Generally, these are the no packing and the mufflers, but let's start it up. So it's obviously pretty loud. We're gonna get some footage from outside the car. I'm sure it's gonna be a screamer, but this muffler does sound like there's no packing, and I think that's the nicer thing about a better brand. The 1320 does have a better sounding muffler. I will actually have some old clips with this on there. I'll add those in here, you can check them out. But I think in the future, a better muffler is something he wants to do. But now we have the piping situation taken care of, and we'll see if it still leaks. I don't think it is going to. We'll double check all the gaskets in like a week or two. Put a little bit of miles on it, let them loosen up, and see if it still persists the smell. Go ahead. All right, guys, that concludes today's work. Cedric, thanks for the test pipe. Regardless, we didn't get to use it today, but I know it'll go onto someone's car eventually. It's kind of loud, I'm not gonna lie. The headlights look fantastic compared to the other ones. I just swapped those out. I think this headlight, he's missing some of the reflective material inside it, so it's a little more dull, but they look a lot better. And he was complaining of having trouble seeing at night. Jaime has a little bit of a difficulty seeing in the evening anyways. The header is bronzing a little bit. I let it run for like the last 15 minutes and it looks killer. But I dig it, man. Like, you know, it's not a bad, it's a really good price point for the exhaust, the header. Clearance is, it's a little iffy. Like those bolts, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of them facing this direction. I can see those getting tore up. I mean, at this point, we'll see if they get beat up a little bit, and if they do, honestly, we could just grind them off and then just weld all the pipes together. I don't really see a reason to have those on there. Maybe it makes it easy to get on and off, but I don't feel like it's a necessity. So it could be something we do in the future, depending on how well they hold up or do not. As far as clearance, like, yeah, I'm actually going low. So I mean, under the side skirt, it has good clearance when you're looking all the way back. I don't see that being an issue. I'd like to get the center hangers fixed as well, and it is kind of low there at the fitting where the header meets, but we're still gonna run it, see how it goes, and I'll report back with any issues in the future when I work on this car again. But so far so good. Thanks for watching today, guys. Thanks Flashark for sponsoring us the header and headlights and exhaust today. Hopefully we can do some more work on the future in some other cars, but if you're interested, pay their website a visit. They got some pretty inexpensive prices, and for us, I like to use these kind of exhausts for the piping because they generally are a nice size. This one is a 2.25 inch size. The muffler is not really something I like. I don't really care for it. I think we could change that in the future, like I mentioned a handful of times before. But regardless, everything else came out great. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you all soon. Take it easy.